Good evening, everyone.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Finally, we're back. We took a few weeks off. We appreciate your patience. And we're also going YouTube Live right now.
YouTube Live?
Yeah, go ahead, Doc. Talk to him for a second.
He just told me about this like 5 minutes ago.
Right now.
But we're ready to go.
So,
live. Going live, YouTube Live. I'm glad that we are back and back in action. Praise God, Norbert's feeling better.
Thank you, sir.
Norbert went through a tough time, but hey, they say tough times build character.
That's right. That's when you find out who your friends are. Thanks for praying for me, folks.
Yeah, we're back in action, and based on what you went through, you got a lot of character going now, buddy. I mean, it's good to see you back.
Right.
But we're excited to be back. You know, last time we were here, I believe we were on our 10th episode, and
there we go.
We were talking about self-worth, and we want to build on that a little more, go a little more in depth, and it's not just a play on words, because when we talk about self-worth, it really talks about in-depth value, or having a deep value, a sense of love for yourself.
Right.
And nothing topical, but everything that is built over time, and how you value yourself.
That's
and
right.
It's important because it varies in certain times in your life, and we'll talk about some specific people I've worked with recently with regard to their self-worth, and how I help them, and hopefully will help you. And we'll again, I'm just glad to be back, and we're back in action. So hope you have your listening ears on, and good to see everybody back.
Now, so we're on YouTube now.
We're on YouTube right now.
Look at this right there. We're on YouTube now. We're live. We're under my channel, Norbert Rodriguez. Just look up my name. Mm-hmm. We're under my channel. So you can access us via Facebook, and you can access us via YouTube. So, Doc, we're going to look at, you can talk to both cameras. We've got two cameras going on.
Okay.
You can look at whichever camera you'd like. It sees everything now.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I got some props and stuff in front of us.
So this is kind of our maiden voyage on YouTube, and it's our maiden voyage as we expand and try to make this broadcast, this webcast, better each time. We did upload one of the webcasts on there with a little music. We just did it a little differently, but every week we're trying to get better and better and better. Yes. So it's good to have you. Thank you for praying for me. I'm glad to be back with my friend Dr. D.
That's right.
Getting out here and speaking some truth to you, getting some information out there to help your life become everything that it's supposed to be.
That's
now,
right.
I remember our flyer for part one,
okay,
which we got about 3 weeks ago, was "Baby, you're worth it."
Baby, you're worth it.
Baby, you're worth it.
Baby,
you are worth it.
You are worth it.
I heard this preacher say this.
What did he say?
Listen to this. I heard it. This blew me away. He says, a preacher, and you can put in any occupation, a parent, anything you do. A parent, a preacher, a psychologist, anybody can never see themselves.
Okay.
This is why they need a mirror.
Wow.
You can see everybody else, and you can see everyone else's problems, but when you're talking truth, when you don't see yourself until you get in the mirror.
Wow.
Now, just before we came on, I had to clean up a little bit, and I had to shave.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but I can't shave without a mirror.
That's unless you don't. Yeah, unless you got to trim.
That's right. That's
if you got to trim,
that's
if
right.
not, you don't. You have to trim. You just take it all off. But I understand what you're talking about.
So we all need a mirror. So right now we'll be that mirror. The Bible says it's a mirror.
Okay.
And look at other people, help them. But remember this, is that you need a mirror to help you become everything that you're called to be. So chew on that right now, and don't feel terrible, because I don't know about you, but I don't walk around with a mirror.
I don't walk around with a mirror.
I don't stare. They just showed me how to use my iPhone camera in reverse so that I could see myself.
Okay.
So you've got to intentionally look in the mirror to change. So this evening, 9 o'clock, I hope you're looking in the mirror. Dr. D, take us.
Well, last time we spoke, we talked about self-worth, and we talked about the importance of it being really an internal, you sit in an internal position of how you think about yourself. It's eternally driven, and it occurs over time. And we talked about a specific example of What are you left with if you lose everything? If you
Right.
remember,
I remember
we
that.
talked about if you lost your house,
Yep.
if you lost your family, if you lost your friends, your job, your career, all your material possessions. What are you left with?
Yeah.
And the answer was you're left with you. It's just you. And, while you were on your hiatus,
Yes.
your health hiatus,
Yeah. My vacation.
your vacation, not even close. I was watching several videos about self-worth, some of them today as a reminder, and the gentleman was talking about seeing yourself in a cave. In a cave, it's just you in a cave, and there's nothing else that you have. No materials, no money, nothing. You just have yourself, right? And he kept saying, what's important is how you value yourself when all is gone.
Yep.
Because, and we're going to talk about this later, a lot of things that we have, such as material possessions,
Yeah.
has a tendency to define us, which
Yeah.
can get us into major trouble if, in fact, for whatever reason, we lose those things.
Right.
We
Right.
lose those things,
Right.
and we still have just us. And we're going to talk about how important it is to have a true understanding of yourself and value yourself, because without that sense of self, understanding myself, valuing myself, loving myself,
Yeah.
seeing myself as valuable and important, then it can lead to several problems. Depression,
Yeah.
anxiety, or just, agitation.
Yep.
And just this an uneasiness of who you are.
Right.
I mean, I had a brief conversation with someone 2 weeks ago, and their relative was sick, and that relative was talking about the relative that was sick was looking and talking as if they didn't have any sense of worth. Like, look at me. There's nothing left of me. There's nothing
I've
I
seen
can
that.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that happens in phases, because there's things in life as we get older will challenge the way that we think about ourselves. But having that sense of worth has to be internal.
Yeah.
And we have to know it, right? You can say some very nice things to me and make me feel good about myself.
Right.
As a matter of fact, who do you think are the first people in our life to make us feel important?
Parents?
Oh, come on, man.
Right there, right there.
We're back at it.
I didn't even read the notes, baby.
Our parents, right? They tell us that we're beautiful, that we look good.
Do whatever
and,
we
and
want.
When, and when we don't smell good, they tell us to take a shower, But they steadily groom us and tell us how important we are
right.
and love us so that we can ingest that. And that's important to us,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
So when something happens to that person or the things that make us feel important, it can shake us if we don't truly believe it and have a sense of our own sense of value.
Right.
So
Right.
so that was a couple of weeks ago, and we'll start it off with tonight of thinking about accepting of ourselves despite what our own flaws,
Yeah.
our own weaknesses,
Yeah.
and our own limitations, because we are who we are.
Period.
We are who we are, and that is so important. I remember when I made that transition from high school to college, and there were some things that I wanted to improve on to be a better athlete, but the one thing I had to really improve on to become a better student, and I've talked about that in previous segments that we've had. And even though I was a good athlete, my mother always asked me, what will you have left if, in fact, you get hurt?
That's right.
I didn't know how to answer that
That's
question.
right.
I was just praying I didn't get hurt.
Yeah. That's a reality.
It's a reality. And I had to be able to pick up the pieces just like that.
Yep.
So I had to really check myself and really say, well, okay, I am a good person. I'm an athlete. I had to kind of change that to I'm a student to I'm Daryl Warner. And what does Daryl Warner believe?
Right.
What does he value? What does he find important?
Right.
And I discovered I found the value in helping others as important. And then I became more comfortable with who I was. So if I didn't do well in the football game, if I didn't do well in the track meet, if I didn't do well with my grades, even though I was going to improve on it, I was okay with, you know what, I'm still okay.
Yeah.
I know what I value, right? I know what value I put into certain things, whether it's grades, school, and all that type of stuff. But did I see myself as important? And it was an absolute yes. I just had the fortunate opportunity of having that value at a younger age. And a lot of people, you know, are still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or they've had it, don't recognize it, something happens, and they start thinking, there's something wrong. There's something about my self-worth I don't get. Because they begin questioning it.
Yeah.
Like when kids leave the house,
Yep.
you know, we pour a lot of energy into our children for the first 18 years of their life. So they go
Yeah.
off to college, and there's that gap there in terms of, okay, you're not cooking for them, you're
Right.
not buying clothes for
Yeah.
them. Well, you still buy clothes for them.
Of course.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but there's certain things you're not doing for them anymore. And
Yeah.
that can shake people as wow, well, what's my role as a parent?
That's right.
It's like, well, they're independent, and they start internalizing, like, they don't need me anymore, which is not true, but it tends to happen.
Right.
People think, well, they don't need me as much, that means I'm not important. So we just have to be careful about that.
You know, I think we have to spend time fighting to define ourselves, meaning over and over, wake up and fight to define who you are.
Yes.
Until you discover who you are, don't give up until you can look in the mirror and say, you know what, it took me years.
Yeah.
And my mission statement is to help others, period. So when I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling a little down, I have to ask myself, am I helping others? Am I doing what I'm created to do? So many of you that are watching right now, or that will watch, feel undefined. Who am I? What am I doing? Through videos like this and books like that you can read out there that we've recommended, fight to define yourself. Every day, wake up and say, I want to know who I am. What am I supposed to do? Can I package it in something that will help me, that it would be a standard bearer for me?
I'm going to add to that. So not only are there times to ask the question, who am I and what am I going to do? There are also those positive affirmations.
Yes.
This is who I am.
That's right.
And this is what
That's
I
right.
do. And this is what I believe in. So I think that's important to
You're
do
right.
that. I've met someone recently, and every morning she takes a moment before she gets to work to make a declaration of the things that she's grateful for. That's powerful, because we could do just the opposite and think about how miserable our day is. We got to go to work. A bah humbug with work, you know.
Right.
But she takes value in understanding there's some things in her life that are great, and she recognizes it to start off her day, so that then she can be of value, okay, to other people. Right? It's hard to be of value to other people if you wake up disgruntled.
Right there.
Right? So I don't
Right
know
there.
if she recognizes that it's great to say, to recognize what you're grateful for, but that presses you forward to help others later, because now you're in a good mood, right? That just came to me. So I think that was, it's awesome. So, it's just powerful to know that I'm good at this, and
That's right.
I'm gonna be grateful for this. You know, Amy just posted something, and that was, for years on the bedroom doors of our girl's bedroom, we posted a sign, and it had the Warner Creed on it.
Yep.
And it talked about, I am honest, I am
Yep.
truthful, I am helpful. And it had about, probably about 7 to 8 things.
Yep.
And at times we practiced it, but it stayed on that door for a good year. And whenever things went wrong, you know, kids make mistakes. We got, you know, you're growing up as a teenager, and as a parent, we had to go back to that list sometime and say, you know what? Were you honest? Was I honest?
Yeah.
What did we do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
those things were very powerful, but they become ingrained.
That's right.
Not only ingrained, now do you believe it?
That's right.
Do you believe it? So
That's
that
right.
when you are away from the people that are raising you. I don't want to get too off topic here. Raise you, and you are challenged with doing something that maybe you shouldn't be doing. You can fall back and say, "Wait a minute, who am I? Am I valuable?
Yep.
Okay, I love myself. Am I really loving myself right now?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And think about what people's self-worth would be like if they were doing the right thing. Wow, that's powerful.
Small wins.
Small wins.
Small wins.
Yes.
You know, I read a piece by Tony Robbins. He said, the most difficult time, I'll paraphrase this, I make it a little rough. He says, you know, he works with all the top people in the world. And he says, what he finds the most difficult with folks is those that have reached the pinnacle of their careers. Presidents, heavyweight champions that have to retire, is they work their entire life to become this.
That's right.
And now that it's over, and most of them are relatively young.
That's right.
You know, in their 50s and their 60s.
That's right.
And he says most of them go into a state of depression because they work so hard at being this, that this is completed.
Well, that's powerful because I went through that not as much. When I recognize it now, it was a transition. But I recognized it with some of my college teammates, specifically my college football teammates. And when we ended our last game, we lost to Central State of Ohio in the quarterfinals at our place. And it was a heart-wrenching loss. We thought we were going to beat them, but we lost. And several of my teammates were crying. And I was sad, right? I wasn't crying.
Right.
And not to say they were weak. They a little more emotional than me. Sure. I told you about when I cried when I didn't get that All-American honor.
Yeah.
But I had a conversation with one of my teammates. I said, and he was 3 or 4 days later crying.
Still upset.
No, he was distraught. I was like, and I said his name. I said, hey, what's up? He says, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean?
Yep.
I'm thinking, okay, we're going to graduate.
Yeah.
We're going to go get jobs. We're
Yeah.
going to go get married. We're going to have children. He says, I don't know what I'm going to do without football. It's been my life. At the time, he was 22. He said, I've been playing football since I was 7 years old. So 15 years. I said, you know, I didn't know it was about his self-worth at that time.
Right.
I didn't realize how much stock he put into himself just as an athlete. Again, you take that away, what do you have left?
That's right.
He said, I don't know who I am. I said, oh, man, that's not good. And at that time, I didn't know what to say to him.
No, that's hard.
I hope he's doing good now. I haven't talked to him since we graduated,
Yeah.
but I remember that when I was writing my notes of how difficult it was. Oh, and the other thing was, I did see him one other time. I saw him in a Detroit Lions football game 5 years later. And he was sitting in the audience. I said, hey. And we greeted each other. And let me tell you something. We're 27 now at this time. He was sweating profusely.
Why?
He's like, I want to go out there. I'm not kidding. I want to go out there. I said, well, enjoy the game. See you later. I felt for him. I was like, wow. So I didn't. Let's distinguish between self-esteem and self-worth. Okay, self-esteem has to do with our skills, abilities, accomplishments, and social positions.
Right.
Right. They're external.
Yep.
Right, and they play a very crucial role into how we see ourselves.
Right.
But that's self-esteem. Okay, whereas self-worth has a greater value than all of that put together.
Deeper.
It's deeper.
Deeper.
It is deeper. It's I am of value. I am important. I'm valuable. I am necessary to life.
Right.
That I can contribute. I can help others. I love myself, and I can contribute. Right. That is self-worth. And we don't necessarily need those skills and abilities to define us because they don't have anything to do with our internal value of ourselves. Right? They're external. This is internal. That's why I use the example of, hey, what about if we lose everything? Right? So let me demonstrate.
Come
right?
on.
So if we are relying on a lot of external things to define ourselves, right? So, good athlete, good student, good parent, people telling us that we're great, we have a great personality. I get a lot of compliments all the time, and I'm very happy, and I'm humble. I'm humbled to say that, but I'm uncomfortable with it.
Right.
Because I don't want to gloat, but I'm also thinking this is nice to hear, but do I believe it?
Yes.
Do I believe it?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I say that self-esteem, it fluctuates, right? And even though we have external things to help us, I look at self-esteem as this little cup, this little container. You'll notice. Do me a favor. Would you hold this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just hold this one right here. Like, boop, right there for me, right?
You got it.
And I'm going to pour some water in this one. I'm going to pour it in, and hopefully you folks will see this, that it is coming out the bottom, right? And it's coming out the bottom because that's how fragile self-esteem can be. Right?
Good.
Right?
That's good.
But if we have a very strong sense of self-worth, value about ourselves, we have a full cup of what we think about ourselves.
That's good.
Right? Even though this came from the top, right? But do we believe it? Do we love ourselves? Do we see our life as being meaningful?
Right.
Our self-worth is this cup that's full of those things that we think about ourselves.
Now, self-esteem.
Yeah.
Can self-esteem, does self-esteem, should self-esteem, will self-esteem help define our self-worth? So
It can contribute to it, but it again, there are things that people tell us that it can go away. And now if you don't believe it, one person can say you're awesome. 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 months later, somebody can tell you that you're awful. Okay, which one you gonna believe?
Right.
It's got to come from within you. So, well, you know what? Maybe I did something wrong and I can fix it or whatever. But I truly still know that I'm a good person.
Right.
I'm still a good person, right? Because people are going to. We could be the greatest person on earth. I mean, as far as I know, Jesus Christ was the greatest person who walked the earth.
Right.
Well, you see what happened to him.
Yeah.
Right. So you know what I mean. So here I am, old Daryl Warner.
Right.
I know everybody doesn't love me, and that's okay. But I walk into the door and leave the door knowing that I love myself and I'm important. And I want everyone to know that you are important.
That's right.
You are important in everything that you do, and you're worthy of love, and you're worthy, and you're valuable. So if you reach certain stages in life and you start questioning it, you got to dig deep.
Yeah.
You got to dig deep and know what you know about yourself.
Yeah.
And if there are certain things that you need to improve it.
Right.
But just like our deficit, my skin tone, my fingernails, my height, for a long time I wanted to be 6'1".
Right.
I wanted to be 6'1". I don't know why. I thought I just wanted to be 6'1".
Right.
Then I thought, I'm going to be 5'7", but I'm going to act like I'm 6'1".
Come on.
So
Come on.
so a lot of people say, man, you got a lot of confidence. I said, yeah, I got a lot of confidence. And, but that was internal because I did not get to 6'1".
Right. You know what I keep hearing right now as you talk? Is history.
Yeah.
A lot of folks, especially a lot of folks that are watching right now, you're not sure how to develop that self-worth, how to maintain, how to become a cup that's not leaky. And one of the things that come to my mind is history. Is that what have you done in the past?
Yeah.
You know, I like working with young people.
Yeah.
You know, what do they want to do for a living and where do they want to go? What are your interests? Your interests don't betray you.
That's right.
You know, if you find, some of my kids love dinosaurs. And
Yeah.
we're pushing them towards zoology and stuff like that.
Right.
There's some inherent interests that will not betray you. That's how good God is.
Awesome.
Some things inside of us that we just do and we pique our interest. And if you stay in your lane and develop that self-worth, you'll never have a screen door on a submarine.
Wow.
If you go back to that history, dig up pictures. We're in my basement right now. There are pictures over in the corner. We've got thousands of them. If I looked at the thousands of pictures, today, Rachel and I celebrate our 25th anniversary.
Hey!
Woo-hoo! 25 years. And if I go through the pictures, 7, 8 years of our marriage were just her and I having fun, traveling the world, doing whatever. And then after that, children started popping up. We can look at the kids growing up and we can see some of our interests, see some of our lives, our decorating and the clothes we wore. There is some richness in your history.
It is. That's a lot. So let's talk about some of the top 5 things that people use to define their self-worth, which can be very, very fragile.
Come on.
Okay? Number 1, what do you think the first thing that people do to help define their self-worth?
Oh, you got me, man.
Give me a guess. Give me a guess. Just
Help
throw
define?
Yeah. That helps contribute to their self-worth. People,
Their outlook, how they look. And
Yeah.
did I read your notes?
Nailed it! Nailed it!
It's because I had to comb my hair before
Nailed
you came
it.
on.
Appearance. Appearance is very strong. You know, from physique to clothes.
Yeah.
It plays a major contribution to how people see their self-worth.
Wow.
Right? Number 2, what do you think? You're going to get this one. I know you're going to get this one.
Number 2, I'm going to have to read your notes. 'Cause
Net worth.
oh, yeah.
Money. Money.
Show me the quan.
Show me the money. So, and that could be not only income, but material possessions.
Sure.
Big cars, big houses, and all that type of stuff. Number 3, any idea?
No.
Who you know? Social.
How simple.
Social circles.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Name dropping.
Yeah. So,
Name dropping.
and in today's era, it's about the likes.
Oh.
How many likes I have on Facebook? How many likes I have on
Speaking of that,
YouTube?
like us.
Like us. Like us.
Share us.
You know, so even though those things are important, they're not my self-worth. If we get 1 like, we nailed
That's
it.
right.
I feel that way. If we
Yeah,
get
I
10,
agree.
that's great.
I agree.
But so social circles are very important. Who you know, and people you hang around. And we know that's important for like middle school students, high school students.
Absolutely.
And it goes on into college too. I know I've worked with people and they have used the words similar to, we want to be a power couple. I was like, a power couple? What are you talking about? I look at it as they want to be seen as
Right.
these 2 great people.
Right. Right. Right.
You know who I want to see me as a power couple with my wife? Just me and my wife.
That's right.
That's
That's
it.
right.
I'm powerful with my wife.
That's it.
If they don't think I'm good, because I got to be comfortable with my wife
That's
and
right.
vice versa.
That's right.
Okay, careers.
Careers are
Number
important.
4, careers, and you know some careers are considered more valuable, okay, and more successful than others. For example, let's talk about a lawyer versus a janitor.
That's right.
A stockholder, stockbroker versus a janitor, a building engineer, or what have you. On the surface, one is considered more valuable than the other.
Absolutely.
But I would argue that, I'm going to argue this point because I'm going to argue some other points later, but I don't want to miss this point. And that is, could be a lawyer, could be an engineer, could be a scientist, or what have you. It's not necessarily about the job itself, but how you do the job.
That's right.
How you perform,
That's
and
right.
the fulfillment you get from it will add to your self-worth.
That's right.
Right? So getting the job is great, you know, and so, oh, wow, he's a big-time lawyer.
Yeah.
I was watching TV last week. I rarely watch the news, but I watched the news, and we're hearing about these local judges, local political figures, local now, within 20 miles of Ypsilanti. And there's a judge, I don't remember what county, so I'm not going to say the county, who is being accused of fraternizing with the jury, with people on the jury. I hope she's not found guilty. I really do.
Right.
But we know that people get in certain jobs and they blow it.
Yeah.
And because it's they're caught up in the job, not how well they do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so important how well you do it and how the fulfillment you get from that job.
And that's that difference between self-esteem and self-worth you're talking
Oh,
about.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because hey, self-esteem is I'm a lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a scientist. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a researcher.
Yep.
Case in point, there's a research that came out about these drug studies that were linked to autism years ago, right? Come to find out that the data that they presented, that they sent out nationwide, worldwide, to try to link vaccines with autism, the data was unreliable. Yeah. So, listen, they got a great job, but then messed it up by falsifying the data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or having problems with the data. I shouldn't say falsify. There was something majorly wrong with the data. We know with research, one of the things that we have to do as researchers is that our studies should lend, in terms of the methodology, that someone should be able to pick up that study and do it themselves.
Okay.
And they could not replicate that study. Future scientists could not replicate that study. So that study came into question. Yes, came into question.
I bet.
So it's important how we do the job, not just the job itself.
Right.
So let's talk about achievement, because we can accomplish a lot of different things. Again, it's great to accomplish things. We've talked about goals and establishing goals for a long time. So I'm all about achieving things and making new goals for myself, especially when I work out and stuff. I just like to push myself, but it's not my self-worth.
No.
It's the value is I want to take care of myself.
This is this isn't an either or proposition, because a lot of times as believers, I'm talking to the believers right now, even all of us, is that sometimes we'll say, you know what, I don't want to reach that goal because that's going to get me big-headed. That achievement is going to make me big-headed. And if I'm big-headed, I'm going to be arrogant and I'm not going to be able to respond to anybody or relate to anybody. Let's work from the position of building our self-worth, not our arrogance.
That's right.
And so then we can springboard on to the next stage in life. Our next stage of development is just not being a leaky cup.
That's right.
And becoming who you are and being confident in you. It's okay to be confident in who you are.
That's right.
A confident person is a quiet person. An arrogant person is one that's got to constantly go around, or an insecure person, announcing what they are, what they're capable of doing, and what they can do, and all that kind of stuff. You know, the Bible says a wise man uses few words.
Yes.
Develop that have that ability to know who you are.
That's right.
And enter a room and leave that room with that same confidence.
I'm going to add to that piece about the person who just continues to talk about themselves and things of that nature. I had a very intimate conversation with a gentleman about 3 weeks ago. And this is a guy who I haven't known for a long time. And he talked about how he did well in high school athletically. And he talks about it as if high school was yesterday. Okay? Now this person is in their mid-30s. Okay? So they're 17 years past graduation from high school, and they're talking about these different accolades that they accomplished, right? So I then asked, why is it? I said, would you allow me to ask you a question? He said, yes. Why is it that you have put so much stock, or you still put so much stock in talking about your athleticism as if that's you? He said.
Right.
He says, that's where I received the greatest amount of attention. So he still now is giving it to himself.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what is it that you know about yourself then? He says, not much. Yeah, it was a tough conversation.
Yeah.
He said, not much. He said, I will get carried away in a conversation about my athleticism. He said, I'll even put out videotapes. I was like, wow. And he doesn't want to do that anymore.
Right.
He wants to understand that he's valuable despite people knowing about his background,
Right.
right? And that he doesn't have to use that to say,
Yep.
I'm valuable,
Yep. Yep.
right?
The
So,
time is going. Come
woo,
on, keep going.
wow,
keep
okay.
going.
So we talked about jobs. It's not about what you do, but do you do it well?
Right.
And is it fulfilling? The other thing I want to talk about is that social piece. Is that at the end of the day, I'm not sure about you, but I tend to associate with about 5 to 6 of my friends,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not about the number
No.
of relationships that I
No.
have.
That's a very important
It's
point.
not about the number.
No.
So it's not about the likes, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, all of that. It's about the quality of your relationships.
That's right.
It really is.
That's right.
And how you give to other people. It's not about the number.
No.
So the quality relationships are very important. And people can get caught up in trying to have multiple friends that have multiple friends that have and you're like, well, wait a minute. How many friends do you need?
That's right.
I have come to the conclusion. I don't have any scientific proof. But a lot of people, because they have a lot of friends in middle school and high school, but as you know, as we get older, those groups get smaller.
Smaller.
Is that they're dependent on those for their sense of self-worth.
Right.
And so they kind of build a bunch of relationships for their own security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of folks, I've heard this for years, and I hear this more and more now with adults, is what am I going to do on a Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do on a Saturday night? I remember back when I was way, way young, I'd complain about not having, or I wanted to go out, and you wanted to make sure that everyone knew you were going out. I guess it's kind of like Facebook now, that your life is fun and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality is, fun, who you are, who you become, isn't put on stage. It's not for everyone to see
That's right.
because it's for your recreation,
Yeah.
your recreation. And that's fun to share your life with somebody, but I agree with Dr. D here, is that your circle, the older you get, the more quality your relationships you want.
That's right.
I don't have enough time to go out with 15, 20 people. I don't
Right.
want to go out.
Right, right.
You know, I have a lot of responsibility, and I like going out once in a while,
Yeah.
and I do go out every once in a while. But you want quality relationships. Quality relationships.
Let me add to something I think is important because sometimes, well, lots of times, especially with the young people that I work with, whether it's in middle school or high school, is that there are a lot of environmental factors that people make judgments on. Friendships, looking
Yeah.
good. We already talked about appearance
Yep.
and grades, and comparing ourselves to others.
Yep.
Right? And if I don't get this A or B on a test and I get a C or D, I wish I can convince everybody that C and D does not contribute to your self-worth.
No.
But people think of it as it. Like they don't think
Yeah.
of themselves as being smart. They don't think themselves as being important because they don't think themselves as part. They don't think themselves as being important because they don't see themselves as being smart. And the two are not connected.
No.
They're not
No.
related. They're totally separate. Because I can still see myself as valuable and say, well, I didn't do well on that test, but you know what? I still love myself.
That's
I'm
right.
okay.
That's right.
But they connect them.
Yep.
And that's what causes that shift in anxiety and depression and getting down on ourselves. And I'm here to tell you, if you're an A or B student or a C or D student, you're just as valuable as an A-B
That's
student.
right.
A C or D student is just as valuable
That's
as
right.
an A-B student, and so on and so forth. Because
Don't keep up with the Joneses.
no need to.
I mean, who are the Joneses, for goodness sakes?
I never met him.
I've never
As
met
a matter
them.
of fact, I don't know if I know any Joneses.
I know some Joneses. I know some Joneses. Why do you compete with other folks? Be who you are,
Yes.
and enjoy it. You know, a short story. I grew up with a friend in high school.
Okay.
He was a musician, and all he wanted to do was play music. And you know that was cool. I didn't want to play music, but I could appreciate his
Right.
his passion for music.
right.
He went off to Nashville. And he's played for various bands. I mean, we're in our
Yeah.
40s now, and
Right.
kids are older now. And I remember talking to him a few years ago, and he was crying and he was depressed. He says, I haven't reached my dreams. I don't have a family, and I'm not like you. And I was like, you know what? I almost said his name. I'm like, you know what? Are you enjoying what you're doing? He goes, I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I said, shut up.
Yeah.
Stop competing with other people.
Yeah. And it takes work to work on ourselves. It really does, to
Yeah.
have that sense of value. And you said it earlier. This is a journey.
Yes.
This isn't an event. And if it's a journey, we learn some things about ourselves. There's some things that we say, you know what? I said it last time, 3 weeks ago. We have to take the good, the bad, and the ugly and say, this is who we are.
That's us.
This is who we are.
That's us.
And I'm not talking about faults and sins. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about understanding that I am Daryl Warner. I love myself. I'm valuable.
Yeah.
I'm meaningful. These are the things I find important, and these are the things that I do.
Yeah.
Just like you are as Norbert Rodriguez.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those things are important, and that's what those things hold true. And I would say let it hold true like super glue,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
other people will try to shake you. Things will shake you. It will shake you, whether someone has a favorable opinion, someone shoots you an email, says something nasty about you, spread a rumor about you, or call you on something.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to realize
Yeah.
that it's internal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much time we got.
About 4 minutes left, my friend.
So one of the things I definitely want to say is that you and I, and you, the audience that's out there, you are the only one that determines your self-worth. You're the only one.
That's
You,
right.
I said it like 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
You are the only you.
Yep.
And by golly, I haven't used that word in a long time.
Ooh. I felt it. Though.
It sounded weird coming out my mouth. It's that you better understand yourself. And let's work on it, right? There's no, hey, be you, understand you. It's awesome. Because when I get up in the morning, even though we have tough days,
Yeah.
tough mornings, tough nights, we got to understand ourselves, love ourselves, see ourselves as valuable. So that there's those external things that out there that seem important, your dress, your income, your job, your friendships, if they all go away, you only got you.
Yeah. Don't define yourself. I'm going to say this as best I can. Don't define yourself by being an opposite, by being a hater. Okay? I run into a lot of people that can define themselves by what they don't like, by how they don't want to dress.
Oh, that's important. That's so important.
So if you live your life as an opposite, I find this a lot being a pastor, being a believer, is that I'll run into young people, I'll run into people that have left the church that will say, I'm not a believer. I don't want any part of that. Who am I? I'm not a believer. If who you are begins
That's
with,
right.
I am not your problem, because you are defined by that thing you think you're not.
Which is, well, not is short of nothing.
That's good. That's good.
Very short of nothing.
Don't be a hater.
Don't be a nothing.
Don't be a hater. Don't let that hate and anger, excuse me, coming off a cold here. Don't let that anger, that hate, that opposition define you, because that opposition is who you are now.
That's important. One of the things that I ask people all the time in my office or just in casual conversation, I ask them, what are the things that you believe in? And I'm still
That's
here
good.
to tell you,
That's good.
and I've said it before, people tend to have a hard time defining themselves according to the good things and the things they find important.
Yep.
Because we are so easily caught up in the things that we don't see as good.
Yeah.
So things that we see as weak. And again, I can't tell you the time it happens, but it's sometime between, a specific time, but from like childhood, probably 10 to 12, we start questioning ourselves.
Right.
I mean, there comes this kind of robust arrogance, but as we get older, we're like, start questioning, am I really?
Yeah.
Am I really worthy? Am I really important? When you start thinking negative, well, I'm really not that good at this.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a negative conversation. Well, it's got to be a positive conversation. This is what I am good at. This is what
That's
I
right.
do believe in. This is what I will build on. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to try something else. I know that I persevere, and I'm okay if I don't do well at something in the beginning. But I will work on getting better.
Yeah. Now you've talked about this several
When I
times.
say I'm talking about my audience. I'm talking about,
Yeah.
I'm reflecting on my audience, not me personally.
We've talked about this. You have talked about this several times. You've got to write this stuff down.
You got to write it down.
You got to write it down.
You got to write. It cannot just be. It cannot just be a fleeting thought.
No.
It's again. I'll take you back to the young lady that I was talking with. Every morning she takes an opportunity to identify the things that she's grateful for.
Yeah.
We have to do the same thing with things that are valuable in our life.
Yeah.
Things I find valuable. I said when my mantra is before, and I'll say it again, is to make someone's day a little bit better than what it was. I want to help someone have a better day. If it means opening the door, I'll do it. Shaking somebody's hand, high-fiving them, telling them they have a good, nice shirt on, or what have you, I'll do it. Not a problem.
That's what we're built for.
Yep.
Our time is gone.
Thanks for seeing us again.
We're back on. We took a 2-week hiatus.
3.
3?
We took 3 weeks.
Man, time flies. We're back. We are on Facebook, but today was the first day we launched on YouTube. We're going to kind of work that out so folks that don't have a Facebook account can see us on YouTube. And if you want to find us on YouTube, it's just under my name, Norbert Rodriguez. We'll work something out to make it easier, I guess. But share it with some folks. Get that information out there. We love you. God bless you.
Be blessed.
We'll see you later.
Stay true to yourself.
That's right.